Hi there, I'm Alex Davies, Entertainment Editor at GB News, and this is GB News Original. And now today, we're speaking to Nathan from last year's Big Brother, all about this year's series and what life has been like for him since he left the house. So Nathan, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, doing good, thank you, doing good. So I guess there's only one place to start, really. Have you been watching this year's series? I know we're only a few episodes in.
I have been watching, and I remember when I entered last year, the first thing I was thinking was, I wonder what people's reaction was like, because I'll never get to experience such shock. And then Emily Hewertson walked in, and I thought, oh my goodness, I love it. And I was so disappointed. I must start there. I was so disappointed to see Emily leave because they've certainly woked up the series this year, I'm going to say. And Emily was, I thought, just the perfect counter to that. Because obviously I predicted there would be one token Tory. I didn't realise it would be Emily Hewertson, but I realised, and it's really disappointing for Emily, firstly. But then from a viewership perspective as well, like, I don't see how anyone's going to disagree. They'll all just sit and just nod and say, yeah, yeah, and try and outwoke one another, I imagine.
Well, did you know Emily before she went in the house? Like, were you aware of her work?
I was aware. I follow Emily on X, and I agree with mainly everything that she says, apart from I think she supports Aston Villa. I don't agree with that, but apart from that, I'm pretty on board with everything that she stands for.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be the only one disagreeing with her on that one. It seems a bit of an odd one then, because she has a huge profile really on social media. Like you said, she's one of the only ones who had a different political leaning. Do you think maybe ITV didn't quite predict that this was going to work against her? And do you think that might be a bit of naivety on their part?
Can I be honest? I think ITV knew exactly what would happen. I think especially when there was an eviction the first night, I think the thing with being a Tory or being right-wing, going on a platform like Big Brother, you need to survive the first week. And then people get to know you. Because actually, I think in this country, we are conservative at heart. So we actually quite like it. When you look at people who have gone on reality TV, Farage went on I'm a Celebrity. He did really, I think he got to the final 3 or something. Matt Hancock did it, got to the final as well. So it's about getting to know them. And they didn't give Emily that opportunity. They just showed a VT, which people say, oh, why did she make, I've seen it online, people have said, why did she make a VT so political? Well, I know from experience that she'll have spent 2 hours in that room filming, and she'll have covered a whole range of topics, and that was what they chose to show, of course, because that's what they wanted. So I believe that ITV will have known, and I think it's disappointing as well, because people take Big Brother as if that's a reflection on society, and as if that's how we all think. So yeah, no one's right-wing, and we all just, as soon as we can get our hands on them, we'll bring them out. That's not true. That's not fair. That's a fair reflection on a certain audience that Big Brother does attract, and I think that's fair to say.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just living credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, You need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponise against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward. And that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
And you mentioned there that they've seemed to have gone a bit overboard on it this year, or at least from my point of view anyway, in terms of they've made it incredibly diverse across the spectrum, but there's a lot of youngsters in it this year. It's probably even more diverse than what yours was when you went into the house last year, and that was pretty similar. Going into the house with your political views as you did, how did you feel that the housemates came across to you and how they approached you? Did it change once they learnt about your sort of political leanings, or, you know, how did they react to you?
I'll be honest, I am unapologetically what I am, and I will not change for anyone. And I went in there with that mindset. But I am big, and the same on social media, I say that just because people disagree in politics doesn't mean that they can't be friends and can't get along. And I think that is a problem that the left have. The left, if you don't agree with them on every single issue, then you're out. You're no good to them. And I don't think that's right, because that completely discourages conversations. In fairness to me, in my season, people were they had weird and wonderful political beliefs, but they actually were reasonably decent people. I can think the one name that springs to mind is Days. Now, Days likes to glue herself to roads and things like that, stuff that I don't really enjoy. But we did have some good conversations. And fairness for me, I speak in the way I speak. I don't change for anyone, and I try to cut through the kind of BS, as it were. And I feel like Days is a good example. She just spoke in such a mad way that just nobody. So I actually think that if Emily had stayed, I think she'd have done really well, because people would have connected with her for just speaking in a way that people can understand. And I think that's the biggest asset you can have.
Do you think she would have been better off just not? I know you said that you were there for like 2 hours in that room. There's so much material that's recorded, so much that ends up on the cutting room floor. Do you think she would have just been better to withhold that information? Or do you think, like you said, that approach, just be who you are, love me or hate me, I'm not going to change?
There's no, that's good in principle, but there's no way that she would have got out of that room without disclosing that she was at parties with Boris. I'll give you an idea. So you're sitting in a room in a box in front of everyone, you're completely lit up, and then all you see is darkness, and there's about 50 or 60 people there firing questions at you. They know what route they're going down. They know what they wanted out of me. They wanted out of me that I used to be King Charles's butler, that I am a Scottish Tory, that I like Nigel Farage. They know what they want, and you're just going to have to give them it, because if you don't, they'll keep pushing. And so yeah, in hindsight, people find out though. I looked on X within minutes of Emily walking on, and they'd found pictures of her with Farage, with Boris. So people would have found out anyway, I would think.
Yeah, I noticed on your Instagram as well, you said you were at Conservative campaign headquarters this week, speaking to young Conservative voters about navigating just the absolute cesspit that can be social media. And I was watching the show last night when Emily was voted out, and then like you said, I was on Twitter as well at the same time, and the whole be kind thing just goes out of the window sometimes. What advice would you give her now that she's out of the house? It was a record time. She was booted out less than a day.
Yeah,
that's going to leave her open to so much wider criticism. What sort of advice would you give her when it comes to navigating that social media landscape now?
Alex, I'll be honest, I was talking about that on Saturday with the Young Conservatives. I've had death threats for things I've posted online. And in fact, as today, quite relevant, I posted something last night because there is someone that identifies as trans in Big Brother. Now, I posted on my social media that I said that they'd said that they were living proof that it wasn't a choice to be trans. Now, I disagreed with that. I said, yeah, you're right. It's not a choice. I believe it's a mental illness. Is what I think. And since that, which is quite relevant because that was today, bad people tell me I should kill myself, whatever else. Now, I've got skin like a rhino. You can say anything to me, and it just doesn't bother me. And that's the advice I was trying to give, and that's the advice I would give Emily and I think. Hopefully with Emily, she might be used to, she's got quite a high profile on X. She'll have had a fair share of criticism, I would imagine, and things thrown at her. But it doesn't mean it doesn't, it still gets to you. It's still at times, of course. So, but I think, especially since what happened to Charlie Kirk, which was awful, it's almost emboldened me to think that no, we shouldn't back down just because people are vile online and people say things. That should actually give us more impetus going forward to get our point across, because you can't back down to people who are going to threaten you and who are going to be vile to you online. It doesn't mean that you should change what you think. So I think you should just ignore the noise and have courage in your own convictions.
I think that's probably the best way to approach it, but it's a lot easier said than done.
It is, I agree. You're right.
I'm sure you're aware. There has been somewhat of a slight shift, like even having Emily on this series to begin with, somebody who is so vocally a Conservative voter, and we've got Thomas Skinner, who's over on Strictly at the moment.
I love Thomas Skinner, by the way.
Yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he? But he's also he's very proud of his patriotic views. He did a statement after the live show saying, you know, it's not fascism to want to wave a flag. You know, he's very, very proud, doesn't abide by woke norms, sort of thing. Do you think that we are seeing a shift towards Conservative views becoming more mainstream, or do you think more needs to be done with these sort of shows?
I think more needs to be done. I think these shows, and I think influencers are a major part of the problem, because they normalise firstly certain words getting thrown around, like you said, they're fascist. Those words that are getting thrown around for people that hold normal conservative views or normal right-wing views, that is what allows dangerous things to happen. And I think these shows, they serve a purpose. Well, they did serve a purpose, but I worry now, especially when I'm looking at the cast and I'm thinking they look like they all kind of merge into one bracket of wokeness. And where that's not a reflection on Britain. That's not what Britain looks like. It's not. And it's unfair, I think, as well, that I watched last night. Danny Beard, who I'm not a particular fan of anyway, but he made a comment about Emily and he said, oh, we'll send her back to where she came from. We know what he meant by that. And the left, and on Big Brother especially, they say about not making everything political. They make everything political. They make everything political when someone on the right goes in and disagrees with them. Look at Fabricant that was in earlier on, the Shia, and then Emily, and obviously myself. They are the biggest bunch of hypocrites. Biggest bunch of hypocrites, I think, personally.
I think I agree with you in terms of I think it's not an accurate reflection, these shows, a lot of the time. But I think, like you said, you've got the thick skin to deal with it. I'm sure Emily will as well. I'm sure there are many young Conservatives, like you said, like you spoke to over the weekend, who wouldn't want to come forward or put themselves in the spotlight because of the abuse they face. And I struggle to comprehend how you can combat that, especially on a stage as big as ITV, how you can say, come along, we'll get you involved, but then the safeguarding measures that need to be in place to make sure that they don't fall victim to the vitriol that can happen online. Have you, as somebody who's experienced that, has ITV followed up with you? Has ITV reached out to you in the months since you left the Big Brother house?
They did reach out to me, I think it would be after 3 or 6 months. They reached out to me just to see I was all right, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I think they would, if I needed help, I know who I could go to. I just don't need it. And I suppose I wonder, is it a reflection on them that they don't really reach out to me much, or is it just that they know I'll be fine? And that is fair, because I remember when I did my psych evals last year, pre going in Big Brother, I said, listen, I don't have any problems like that. I will be fine, genuinely. So yeah, but I think something needs to change, because you are right. I get loads of messages every day from people saying, I really respect you for standing up and saying what you believe. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I can't say that. I can't say it publicly. And that's from people who have a following and people who don't have a following. And people who have a following, we're in this place where they share what's trendy. Whatever's trendy, and then everyone believes it to be so, believes it to be the case. And there's a load of examples on that I better not go into, but that's a worrying trend as well, that to keep a job or to get a brand deal, you've got to have the right approved narrative. And that's something that doesn't sit right with me, because if I was posting something just for money or just to gain something out of it, that deeply somewhere in me, it just wouldn't sit right. So how to combat that is a massive question, and I wish I had the answer, but I don't on that one.
And what advice would you give to sort of ITV bosses then for the future of not just Big Brother, but, you know, Love Island, these shows? Would you give them any advice on how to change to not pander to, but to accommodate to different voices and different political viewpoints?
I would say that give us an accurate reflection of what Britain's actually like. Don't just pander. And I get it. They're making a TV show. They want views. And clearly the viewership is on the whole, quite a woke audience. If you look at the late and live audience, I'm not going to personally comment on any of them, but I'm just like, God, right, okay. So I don't see how they would change it. They clearly think this is a moment in time. And they clearly think this is what works at the moment. People want woke. How out of touch must they be with reality? Because from what I'm seeing, people don't want woke. People want less woke, and people want more, and I'm going to use the word, more normal, more just normal average, your normal average Brit. And I don't understand why they are pushing this narrative that we're all a massive woke fest, because that's not true.
The tide is turning somewhat.
I think so. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think so too. If you don't mind, I want to ping a couple of quick fire Big Brother questions at you as well, if that's okay, before we round off.
Absolutely fine.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So when you entered the Big Brother house, what was the biggest challenge from being in there compared to the outside world?
Oh, living with people that I had to speak with every day. I am quite a lone wolf. That was not. That was a major challenge, especially when some of them were, shall we say, wild to the moon.
And are you ever actually able to forget that the cameras are there?
Yes, absolutely. Personally, yes. For the first week, no. It's all you're aware of for the first week. After that, I genuinely, and I've seen people on reality TV say things like that before. Oh yeah, I didn't realise the cameras were there. You're like, yeah. Genuinely, I forgot. I was drinking every night. I had red wine every night. I was having a good time. I was having a bit of a laugh, and I did kind of forget. If I had my time again, I would be more aware of the cameras, I think. And maybe I would. No, do you know what? Maybe I actually wouldn't, because then that's bloody boring, isn't it?
Would you do it again if there was ever an All-Stars opportunity or anything like that?
As after what previously discussed, there is not a chance that ITV would put me back in there. I don't think. Or maybe they would. But yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I would. I absolutely would, because I think that somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to bang the Tory drum on ITV, so why not me?
And if you could have a dream housemate, celebrity, living, dead, dream housemate, who would it be?
Oh, do you know, I'm gonna be, and I don't know if it's just because I'm of Emily, but I do love him. I'd have Boris in there. Come on, Boris. I don't care what people say about Boris, whether you like him or whether you don't. Living with him for a few weeks, or even having dinner with him. Come on, he must be a bloody good laugh, I can imagine.
And how long do you think Big Brother will stay on our screens for?
Oh, go woke and go broke. So I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be overly optimistic about his future if, if this year's anything to go by. But maybe GB News or someone can take it over rather than ITV, and then it'd be maybe much more watchable.
Watch this space, huh?
Right.
So there you have it. That was GB News Originals. If you liked what you saw, please give us a like and subscribe, and download the GB News app from the App Store now.
GB News isn't just a channel, it's a family.
And now you can be a part of it. Join our membership for exclusive content and to be part of the conversation.
We're building something different together.
So join us today.
Because your voice deserves to be heard. Become a GB News member today.
Visit gbnews.com/support or scan the QR code on screen now. Thank you.